habitat for Mike 6, the live tiger LSU mascot. It opened in 2005, replacing the original facility built in 1936. Beautiful animals. Cameron Gamble to kick it away. Holloway 3 yards deep will take a knee. Let's go back to the touchdown, Ed.
You know, if you want to play in the NFL, it helps if you're the best ball carrier maybe in an era or two at LSU. It also helps if you can pick up a blitz. Leonard Fournette, excellent technique, battles through the finish, and Leo Lewis is a very good young linebacker, and that's lets Etling look like a ball that when he threw it, I didn't think there was a chance Chark was coming underneath of that ball, but they have said this young man Chark, who had a 79-yard touchdown run in the Texas Bowl last year, is their fastest guy. They have so much speed, so much size on the outside. You have to think going over to the sideline, everybody on that offensive line, they got the fullback involved, they got the tight end involved. This is going to be a different season, I think, with Etling than what they had with Harris.
Holloway on first down, picking his way for a yard and a half, maybe 2, before middle linebacker Kendall Beckwith, who could have easily gone in the draft a year ago, makes the stop. He's the #1 tackler on this ball club. Great athlete, as are many of his teammates on this club. He was also the starting quarterback for his high school.
Can you imagine trying to tackle that guy when he decided to do the zone read?
No thanks.
190-pound defensive end.
Fitzgerald with time. Good outcut to Ross. Ross up to the 47, making his 12th catch of the year. Tackled by Ricky Jefferson after a gain of 20.
Fred Ross continues 2 years of great productivity. He was an excellent receiver last season for Dak Prescott. That time puts a really nice double move on Ricky Jefferson, and that was a terrific throw right on time by a developing quarterback.
Fitzgerald again with time, and again right on the hands of the receiver for a first down. Thomas, the tight end, he is gang tackled by a whole host of defenders. But it's going to take a whole host to get him. Thomas is 295. It's the biggest tight end in captivity.
And he had a touchdown catch where he pulled it away from a South Carolina defensive back last week, getting involved, the big body. He was lined up as a receiver that time, not a tight end.
Holloway got room to run off the right side. Cut it outside and was tripped up at the 37-yard line. Good block by Justin Senior, the most experienced offensive lineman on this club.
How about the answer here for Mississippi State? They get a bomb over their head for a touchdown, and Dan Mullen's group comes right out. Nick Fitzgerald throws a couple of really nice balls. They get a cut down block on the edge there, and they get a little offense going.
Those were as pretty a throw as you will see all season. There's another one. Not going to turn out to be anything, though, as Keith Mixon comes in and Tre'Davious White waiting for him and got help from Tolliver.
This was excellent defense by the 2 defenders that are being blocked, continuing to fight. Tre'Davious White made all kinds of trouble over there for Donald Gray. White was so physical at the point, he bounced to the outside, and Tolliver, who's playing the outside corner there to make the tackle. That was really well defended.
3rd and 4 from the LSU 36-yard line.
Quarterback run has to be on your mind if you're LSU.
There it is, and they were waiting on it. Arden Key, who may be their best pass rusher and isn't bad at making stops near the line of scrimmage either, was right there.
Key is a guy that's hard to miss. 6'8"? I mean, he is as tall as he wants to be, with great balance and terrific read there, because that was a pretty good fake by Holloway. You could see the half pause by Key before going to the quarterback, but a guy that long with arms that long, he's going to wrap you up pretty quick. Excellent.
Well, they're inside the 40-yard line. They're going to punt anyway. White with a fair catch. A little surprised that they were that deep and didn't choose to try something else. A 30-yard kick, no return. LSU will have it when we come back. and watch ESPN. 7-0 LSU. They'll take over at their own 7. Etling, shovel pass. Got it out there to Durrell.
You heard all week long Les Miles wouldn't name Etling the starter until he finally confirmed it yesterday, but he used terms like he can make plays, he can manage a team. You're starting to see they've got a bit of a scrapper. He's a guy that nobody wants to play in Madden football on the video game on the team. He can beat you in everything. The only thing Les Miles is worried about with him is he going to work too hard. Last year when he wasn't playing, Etling was out working with backup tight ends and receivers on different routes and different throws on his spare time. The guy's a workaholic.
Fournette, as the timing was messed up a little bit on the handoff, Etling had to take that extra step to get there. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players, Ed.
Well, we've already seen A.J. Jefferson, one of the best guys in the league at playing in the backfield from the defensive line, do that tonight. And he'll be going up against K.J. Malone. K.J. stands for Carl Jr. That is Carl Malone, the mailman's son, who'll be playing left tackle tonight.
And please let me get this in before you do. It's K.J.'s job to deliver at left tackle.
I can't believe I'm laughing.
I can't either. Etling with good time. Arches it into coverage and overthrown.
Well, with Brandon Harris at quarterback, who has just a supreme arm. Harris was struggling with some accuracy and some confidence issues to start this season, but you're not going to lose the long game. I don't know that he can quite throw it as far and as hard as Harris, but Etling's got good touch, good timing, and so you're not going to lose the stretch of the field. Of course, we saw Chark get the long touchdown, but they're going to keep testing it.
There are the numbers on that quarterback duo. This afternoon, Etling is 5 out of 8 for 68 yards. Facing a 3rd and long here, and whistles stop the play.
Yeah, it looked like someone was leaving a little early.
False start. Number 89 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Deshaun Smith, the 249-pound tight end.
Well, Mississippi State getting a little momentum back. I'm still shocked that they were on their 37 and punted. I was breaking down the X and O's of the great play by Key and kind of you mentioned, you're on the road 37-yard line, but you play a little good defense here, then the choice works out.
Shows a lot of faith in the defense that this might not be their only chance down there to do anything. Etling 3rd and long. They set up the screen to Fournette. Nice cut. Fournette dives forward. He's going to be about a yard shy of a 1st down, however, out at the 33-yard line.
Les Miles loves 4th and 1. If there's anything he's known for, is he'll go for it on a 4th and inside 2 from anywhere on the field, and a LSU player is down.
It's Will Clapp, the left guard.
They don't want to lose Will. He's a good player coming back from a hip injury. Excellent block by Clapp, but you could see him immediately kind of roll up in pain. A terrific cut block there on the middle linebacker Richie Brown, and right away you could see that Clapp was in pain.
He's holding his arm or his hand. Looked like he may have fallen on it as he went down. We'll check on his condition when we come back. Welcome back to Baton Rouge on a Saturday night where it just looks like it's going to be horrible weather at some point, but so far we have avoided it.
Why would you do that, Mike? You just jinxed 90,000 people with a weather delay. Way to go.
Thank you very much. I have that skill. Grodin to punt. Ross retreats to his own 30. Pressure coming. Line drive rocket. Look at this bounce. You're going to kill it at the 2. 65 yards. Jamal Adams downfield to down it. What a punt. Week 2 of Monday Night Football has the Eagles and rookie Carson Wentz off an impressive Week 1 going against Jay Cutler and the Bears. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern, followed by the Eagles and the Bears at 8:15 on ESPN.
Well, LSU always has, or has for the last several years, the most players in the NFL, and according to Mel Kiper and his early big board, they're going to have some other guys going high. If Fournette, after his junior year, declares to come out, they have him rated as number 2. And when he is healthy, and from what I've seen, and you know that block, Mike, do you know how excited GMs and coaches in the NFL get when they see a guy who can run it like that and will deliver in the pass game like that, blocking that helps.
Ross can't hang on. How excited do quarterbacks get that they might have him on their team?
And it was not just the technique, but the effort. You could see he was doing everything he could to keep the pocket clean on that touchdown.
2nd and 10 for Fitzgerald, who has been extremely accurate so far.
Yeah, that was a really quick throw. I would be really careful with anything where he's going to stand flat-footed in the pocket for more than a count. I would just be really careful. This is safety territory here.
Got the big back Ashton Shumpert in number 32. Fitzgerald under pressure, steps up and throws deep. Ross is there. Excuse me, Gray was there, and it was overthrown by a stride.
Dan Mullen is messing with fire and got away with it, and Fitzgerald missed that throw by a foot. I think it was the pocket collapse. Watch his feet. Let's see if his feet kind of get a little happier as he steps up. Yeah, he kind of got javelin-like on his throw. You could see him get up on his toes. Instead of shuffling forward on his feet, he got up on his toes to get out of the way of that pressure. Otherwise, that's a big, long gain and a very, very risky call by Dan Mullen to have this kid standing flat-footed in the pocket.
Gray had beaten Tolliver. Now it's 3rd and long. 4-man rush, pressure coming, and he just got out. I do mean just.
Maybe. I think this has got to be reviewed to make sure that no part of his body was down. I'm not quite sure why Dan would mess with fire twice in a row. This is as good a defensive line as there is in the country, and that ball's out.
Devon Godshaw, number 57.
That was a heady play.
Came in and took him down.
That was a really heady play by a young quarterback to know that he had to stretch that ball out. But I just, against this defensive line, you're a run-based offense. To be calling 2 dropbacks is messing with fire.
No room for Logan Cook. Kicking to Tre'Davious White on this side of the 50. Down to the 45-yard line. 3-yard return. Let's check in with Chris Cotter. Isn't that unbelievable?
They have their number. They have their, you know, there's something about when you start playing with Alabama, and I'm talking about this defensive line for LSU, how good they are. I'm putting that on the same scale as Alabama now. I've studied this defensive line and the depth.
I'm right with you.
This is as good as there is in college football, but Ole Miss for some reason just has a feel for Alabama. Gets under their skin a little bit.
Fournette with no fullback in front of him on this set. Takes it off the right side. That's 235 pounds of muscle.
And I think, and a late flag coming down, and another LSU, it looks like lineman is down. I believe that's Toby Weathersby, the right tackle, who's been slated. They lost both tackles off of last season's team to graduation. Weathersby's been holding down that right side. They've had a little bit of turnover at the left side, but this is a group that was banged up all camp
after the
long.
play was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 44 of the defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's on Leo Lewis, the redshirt freshman linebacker.
The reason that the referee said this is the first personal foul, if you get 2 personal fouls now, you're ejected from the game. So as Fournette is finishing,
it's on the left side of the screen.
Right there is where 44 is. That's not a personal foul. We could watch that 100 times. I know why they call it. It looked like he was going up into the throat. He was finishing the play and then went to do an arm over and bumped his head. That's not a penalty in my opinion.
Dan Mullen is making the same point, I think.
I saw the action to the throat, but they were finishing the play. I don't think he was grabbing up into the throat, and then the end there, he was just kind of wrapping his arm over. But this is
Weathersby very gingerly walking off. The good news is Will Clapp is back on the field. He was hurt on the previous series.
And they also got Josh Butte back, who had been suspended after a late hit at the end of the Wisconsin game. So they're getting a little depth back, but this has been the problem. They had Leonard Fournette hurt most of the camp with a ankle sprain, and a bunch of offensive linemen in and out, and they really struggled against Wisconsin with some communication and some and just picking up some blitzes. So some fresh bodies coming in. Let's see how they perform.
So the penalty moves the ball inside the 25-yard line, first down. Fournette dives forward to the 21.
You're getting a little testy down there, guys. Got to be careful.
Fournette very unhappy about something.
If you like what happened at the end of the play. And a tackle by Kevon Coleman.
Oh, stepped over him.
Yeah, that's. I just don't like the step over. It's such a condescending thing to do. You're just playing the game. You don't have to help the guy up, but don't step over him.
Well, the last guy step over is Fournette.
Well, yeah, he usually is doing the stepping over, isn't he?
Liable to just destroy you. To the 18. I mean, step over somebody's 160 pounds.
The one thing with Fournette that he has both elite. He's incredibly powerful and just has an unbelievable burst. For a guy his size, that's what everyone who coaches him or coaches against him says. He's got the rare package of just pure brute strength with world-class acceleration and speed.
3rd and 4. Etling moving his wide receivers and now wants to take a timeout as the play clock was down to 2. This has been such a difficult year for the people of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The worst of it started on July 5th when Alton Sterling, a 37-year-old African-American from Baton Rouge, was shot and killed by 2 police officers. Then on July 17th, 3 Baton Rouge area officers were killed by a gunman who was later killed by a SWAT team. Then coming back from a football camp in Wisconsin, LSU kicker Colby Delahousse was injured in a car accident that killed 2 others. And then a once-in-a-thousand-year storm hit Baton Rouge and caused catastrophic flooding. 61,000 homes damaged or destroyed. More than 100,000 people have registered for federal assistance, and it has just been a nightmare for this community and the surrounding area.
You know, we were visiting with Les Miles yesterday. More damage was done with the flooding than what happened in Katrina.
Amazing,
that
isn't it?
blew my mind when I heard that, because we remember the devastation of Katrina, and we have to remember that this flooding was worse in this area. More damage was done. We have people from FEMA in our hotel. They're still working in this area, and everyone's trying to get their lives back. And Les Miles and the team have been a real pillar in the community, done a lot of work in the community.
And they have rallied around this football team. Corner drop! And it's Chark, the young man who caught that post. Just couldn't pull this one in inside the 1-yard line. Pretty good throw by Etling.
I think he may have just lofted this a touch too much, although he's got his hands on it. Yeah, you hate to say it, but this is a drop. The defender was beat, maybe a little too much air, but it was put on the money. You tell that you throw it right to that pylon. That's That's a tough one for Chark.
They're really working on Jamoral Graham, number 9, the corner on that side. Delahousse is on for a field goal attempt, 35 yards. And there is a flag down as the field goal is good. This may come off.
Running into the kicker. Defense. Five-yard penalty. Results in a first down.
Wow.
So they will take the field goal off the board. And it's an automatic first down. Or it will be enough. Oh, come on.
Yeah, you can't call that. That's Jonathan Calvin. And Delahousse, you could see when he was coming off, had a little bit of a Cheshire grin on his face, knowing
there is no penalty for touching the kicker,
yeah,
is there?
That should not. And Delahousse, I think, knows he got away with one there. And remember, there was a personal foul on Leo Lewis that I thought was at least questionable. So now you have a call that I don't think should have been made, in my opinion. What a tough break for Mississippi State. 2 calls in the same drive.
Because the yardage gives them a first down. Now they've got a chance for a double reverse and a pass, and it's incomplete. Malachi Dupree had that shot. That's 2 reverses with a pass off them. They had another reverse that was a running play.
And both guys throwing the ball were way off target. The first one would have been a tough throw. This is a walk-in touchdown if Dupree just brings it down a little bit and throws it on a rope instead of trying to loft it up there. But
and Etling was the guy who was going to be the receiver. He turned his chest to the ball. You can't do that.
Yeah, got to finish the route. Okay.
Let's
Still got to defend him.
Go back to number 7. Fournette to the 5.
I don't mind plays like that don't work. I really don't, because you get more guys involved. They're having fun, and oh, by the way, you're still going to get a sledgehammer in your face when you play us. So now you have to also get ready for when we're going to throw it over your head with a reverse. So I don't mind that they have those wrinkles in there.
Big third down here, 3rd and 2. Mississippi State trying to hold and force another field goal try. Fournette, first down, touchdown. You're the only tackler there. Good luck.
Peter Sermon, the defense coordinator, longtime NFL linebacker with the Tennessee Titans. He said if it's one guy, it's just not going to work. It's just got to be more than one. And that time it was Leo Lewis who met Fournette on what, about the 1? They landed in 2 yards in.
Delahousse for the point after. So they take Delahousse's field goal off the board on a questionable running into the kicker call, and they convert the 3 they took down into 7.
And it all starts with J.D. Moore, young man who had a reception earlier. Good cut, sees the terrific block. The fullback's got to see the hole. The fullback's got to create the lane when you're going to be in an I formation. Fullback right in front of the tailback. That guy better be able to read the hole just as well as number 7. And a terrific shoulder block that opened it up. We met with J.D. Moore yesterday, excited that with Etling in, they're going to be able to start getting the ball to more big body players, and he was obviously the recipient of that already with the reception tonight.
Well, there was a question of whether the All-American running back would play tonight because of the sore ankle. It looks like he's doing just fine.
And he still doesn't look like he's got his full top end cut and speed, but he plays so low. The name that came up when we were talking to the coaches, Peter Sermon from Mississippi State, was Emmitt Smith. That type of power, that type of lower body power. And I played in the NFL, and the guys that tried to tackle Emmitt Smith would say by the 4th quarter, it was no fun.
Holloway lets the ball bounce and go out of bounds. That is a penalty, and will give Mississippi State some decent field position, and let's go to Chris Cotter. Holds off is the right way to put it, to the escape. 48-43. Tennessee wasn't easy against Ohio. They win. Missouri and Georgia are tied 0-0. A&M with the lead. LSU leading 14-0. Florida on top after a safety. There's the tight end Thomas. They get 5 guys out there to tackle. Kendall Beckwith led the charge.
You know, we were talking to Dave Aranda, the first-year defensive coordinator, a terrific coach. I thought it was the best off-season hire, Dave Aranda to LSU as an assistant coach. But in the first 2 games against Jacksonville State and Wisconsin, because of the struggles of the offense, they were on the field for 12 minutes and 13 minutes in those first quarters of a 15-minute total. And he said it really was tough for us to make adjustments, but our guys hung in there, and this has been a total change. LSU now 14 points in the first quarter after getting shut out the first 2 ball games of the season.
End of the first period of play in Baton Rouge, wearing the gridiron gold jerseys. The Bengals on top by 14. LSU, Mississippi State trying to get some offense generated. Option look, Fitzgerald, Holloway. Taken out at the 33.
You can see Dave Aranda took a defense that had been a 4-down lineman-based defense and switched it to a 3-down lineman-based defense during the offseason. The whole idea being with the size of, with the big athletes we can get, 3 guys should be able to hold up 5 offensive linemen. You can do it. It's the way Alabama plays as well. And then you get a bunch of guys who can run, some of them big, playing away from the line of scrimmage. That's the whole plan when you go from 4 down to 3 down. More speed.
They can get those guys too.
Yes.
Fitzgerald rifles too high for Miles. Notice the absence of the run tonight from Fitzgerald.
This is going south quickly against Aranda's defense.
Last week you set a quarterback record for rushing. 195 yards today, -3.
They just haven't gotten any rhythm offensively at all. And unfortunately for Dan Mullen, he's putting a defense out that's it's only the second quarter. They've already played a lot of defense tonight.
Tre'Davious White driven back to the 12 and dances out to the 18. Remember that return last week? 54-yard punt, 6-yard return. Shaquille O'Neal, the newest Basketball Hall of Fame inductee, is with Jerry Punch. Jerry, don't let him hip check you.
Hey, they love their Shaq down here in Tiger Town. Hey, Shaq, how would you describe the atmosphere for someone who's never been here on a Saturday night?
And I love you. You're kind of hot, so let me cool you off a little bit right there.
I appreciate that. It's hot down here where I am.
Listen, it's the best atmosphere in the world. I'm glad I decided to come to college here. This is where the Shaq character was born. You know, the flood victims needed my help, so I came down to a golf tournament, handed out some stuff to families, raised a lot of money, and I'm going to continue to do stuff. But this is my tradition to come to a football game every year. But look at this, 100,000 plus at the stadium, great atmosphere.
Hey, they love you here, but I want to show people the ring here. Congratulations on the induction into the Hall of Fame. How special for you?
It was special. It all started here. I remember a young guy that didn't have a lot of confidence in himself. I look in the arena and I see kids with the shirts that say Shaq Pack. They had confidence in me. So then I started believing in myself and I became a great player. So I'd like to thank everybody, especially people here in Baton Rouge. I'd like to thank you. You look awesome, buddy.
I appreciate that. Folks, Shaq back in the house here in Tiger Town. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The 34 on the ring is for how many pounds that ring is.
Yeah. Whew. My phone's not that big.
I think Dr. Jerry could put that on his head, that ring. He could wear it as a crown.
What a marvelous career he had. National Player of the Year in 1992.
Who's that? Who's that guy in that picture there? That's Shaquille? Come on. He was ripped.
He was enormous in those days, but nothing like he is now. And I remember doing a game with Dick Vitale when he was surrounded by 5 guys in the zone and couldn't really do much. And we both said, realize how good this guy is going to be when he gets in the pros and they can only guard him with 1 guy. And he even learned to do this for the Doc.
And, well, Shaq, the only thing Shaq may be better at than basketball is television. He is really entertaining. He's very good on the air.
Certainly cracked Jerry up.
And now, a cheerleader.
LSU takes over at the 13, and we get a new running back. Darius Geis pounds across the 20. Geis was a starter last week, went 19 carries, 155 yards. And they're just loaded with guys behind Leonard Fournette.
4 deep, and they got to develop a lot of this talent when Fournette was out with the ankle injury. Geis has a whole different gear. He may not be quite Leonard Fournette, but this young man is 215 pounds and can go. He can really run, sees it, great cutter, can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's pretty special as well.
Takes it up to the 24. It'll be 3rd and about 4 yards to go.
You know, we saw Michigan first game of the season. We saw Mississippi State and South Carolina last week. Start looking around the country at talent. I don't know there's a team as talented and loaded as LSU is. I just, on the defense, every position, there's 3 or 4 guys that are as good as what we've seen even when we were at Michigan. And now that they may start getting some really solid quarterback play, I think this team creeps right back into the conversation of one of the top 4 teams in the country.
And I think Ed used a perfect word, solid. That's all they really need. They don't need spectacular. They just need solid. Like that.
Yeah. I mean,
put it on a receiver's hands when the guy's open, and he did. Etling doing the job. Let's go to Chris Cotter. Kevin, there have been a couple of shockers today, just like opening weekend. Stunning results. Fournette. Look at this guy go. That's 235 pounds.
Well, Brandon Bryant's just having a tough afternoon as a safety for Mississippi State. Bryant was the guy who got run over by number 7 earlier in the game. Shucked. I think that's the term, shucked. He got shucked. This time, Bryant went for the low tackle, and Fournette did that drill where you pick your feet up through the strings, and he went right through the arms of Bryant. I feel for you, man. It is tough duty by yourself with that guy.
2nd and 4, and this time he runs into a stone wall, and Lewis sort of stepped over him again. Lewis playing with fire, doing stuff like that. A.J. Jefferson was the first man in on the tackle.
Jefferson is a very productive inside player who has 5th year in the program at Mississippi State, has built himself into a guy who's going to make some money playing this game. He wasn't the most highly recruited, not the most athletic, most explosive. Long arms. He's worked on his mechanics of how he uses his hands. Very productive guy.
Really gets upfield, leads the SEC in tackles for loss this year. Etling quickly comes up to Malachi Dupree, who had been having trouble with drops, but not today.
And Etling showed me something there. A.J. Jefferson beat his man clean to the inside. That's right where Etling was throwing. And watch the weight and balance of Etling as Jefferson's coming right to his face. It's hard, but you've got to step into a man who's freely running into you. Very calmly, Etling threw a terrific ball to Dupree.
Etling with a quick out. Got it to Chart. Let's go back to Jerry Punch.
Hey, guys, we mentioned that Danny Etling transferred from Purdue. Now, his former offensive coordinator at Purdue was interviewed this week, and John Shoup said when he had Etling, he said, this is a young man that has all the tools. He can make all the throws. He has incredible accuracy. He said, I firmly believe this young man can play at the next level. And he was talking to a former guy he coached for, and he said, you know, told Butch Davis, he said, if we'd had Etling when we were at North Carolina, this kid would have started all 4 years. He's just that good.
Jerry, that's great news for LSU fans who wanted to see him play.
Well, and it's easy to look at his record at Purdue. He was 2-10, but Purdue was just terrible when he first became the starter. He was a young quarterback.
Fournette.
He's like a video game. Literally, it's like some way, just when you need 8 yards, he'll get 8 yards for you. He just, even on what doesn't look like full 100% go.
Just, little hesitation there, got him by
just
one guy.
So powerful with his. He's really fun. This is the first time in person I've got to see him. And,
he could easily have run out of bounds, picked up 7. Instead, he lowered his shoulder and got 8. But Geis gives him a breather.
But Etling, a guy who went to work. He lost his starting job at Purdue. Interestingly enough, Austin Appleby, the young man who took the job, has since transferred to Florida.
Right.
So the storyline of quarterback transfers continues. But Etling has been a wonderful addition to this program.
Glad you could join us tonight from Death Valley in Baton Rouge. 87, it feels like 99, say the meteorologists. Have another bottle of water, Ed.
For Dan Mullen and Peter Sermon as defensive coordinator there, it feels like 1,000 degrees right now.
Bet it does. Great protection for Etling. Tremendous work by the offensive line. Dumps it underneath to Geis. And Geis fighting for extra yards down to the 25.
Man, you know, for a bunch of fans who know this game, Louisiana is a football state. High school, it's the biggest sport as a Mississippi State defensive players down. But this crowd that knows ball is so exciting to have a quarterback that's making some plays and has a good feel for the game.
Football down here is oxygen. That's the USS Kidd, a World War II destroyer. It's a museum ship berthed right here. If you ever have a chance to go down in the bowels of a World War II ship, if you didn't have claustrophobia when you went down, you will by the time you get back up.
And maybe a gash on your forehead.
Oh,
banging into the.
Just wonder how they did it.
Grit.
At least that.
Sideline warning to Mississippi State. By the way, Josh Butte, guard for LSU, was also down. And now starting to get guys kind of banging around. They do have Toby Weathersby back at right tackle, which is good news for LSU.
Fournette back in tailback. Takes the toss behind Moore. See ya. Touchdown Fournette. Moore with a great block. Looks like Will Clapp cleared it out on the left side as well. Give him the seam and it's over with.
Well, if you're going, this is called an ISO. You're trying to isolate the linebacker for the fullback. Well, unfortunately for Richie Brown, he wasn't just blocked by the fullback. He also had a face full of offensive guards. So the middle linebacker was doing everything he could. He's the guy who has to try to get over and get in front of number 7. But his defensive line let him down a little bit on that one. That was, I don't want to call it easy, but that's the way you draw it up.
And that is blocked. But it's still 20-0. 11 carries, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the consensus All-American tailback. Sanchez called up August 3rd. Has 14 home runs, 27 RBI.
Going to be a dirty trick right now.
Onside kick?
Yeah, because I think you'd probably get it.
Holloway. And here's Chris Cotter. Chris, what do you have?
Big season for Kevin Sumlin. A lot of heat. A lot of people talking about, you know, the term hot seat. Certainly was on it coming into the season. And Les Miles was on it after the end of last season when there was some hesitation of whether he was going to be back as LSU's head coach. And if Etling continues to show what he's got, this may be one of the better teams Les has.
In this league, at this level of competition, you lose a couple of games, I don't care who you are, somebody's going to say you're on the hot seat.
Yeah. Well, the frustration here, and even the athletic director said we need to make some changes offensively, get a little more modern, use some more spread elements, which Cam Cameron has been doing. But the truth comes down to it, you have to have a guy who can run the offense, and they were scrambling a bit that position because everywhere else I look on this field, LSU has players at every position and depth.
Harris Williams is the new running back. They fake it to him and throw to the outside complete out to the 23, and that's Fred Ross. Had a school record a year ago, 88 catches. He's all SEC.
I think some of the pressure on Miles is because he's such a good recruiter, and they put so many guys in the NFL. They really have done an amazing job with talent stocking here. And I think some of the frustration of the fans has come from, well, if we have this many guys in the NFL, why aren't we more elite on offense? We can be elite on defense. They have been, but they rely so much on the run game and guys like Fournette, and they haven't been able to get to that elite offense, and it's been a little frustrating for their fan base.
Fitzgerald on the fake, he keeps. Let me go back and answer your question. The reason they haven't won more is because Alabama has the second most guys in the NFL, and Alabama's winning.
Yeah. Well, and think if you're an LSU fan, the irony of Nick Saban was here at LSU, decided to dip his toe in the NFL pool, and when he left, he decided to go to Alabama. And the feeling is, well, we lost that guy, and we're not living up to it. Well, this is a team, I think, that with Etling at quarterback and what I've seen of Alabama, that's going to be an interesting game.
That was the first down for the Bulldogs since there were 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. Fitzgerald again with plenty of time and throws to Ross. Looked like he bobbled it, but he comes down with it in the arms of Kevin Tolliver. Excuse me, that's Gray, not Ross. 26-yard gain. Nice throw by Fitzgerald.
Gray, excellent job. Tolliver never saw the ball, and he lost it. Tolliver, the ball was thrown back to the inside. Tolliver had great position. He never peeked the ball. Gray did. Came back inside. Not bad coverage. Excellent job by Gray staying alive on the ball.
Good job by the Mississippi State offensive line to give Fitzgerald time to throw.
And what a huge drive for Mississippi State. You don't get this, I'm not sure your defense is going to stop LSU. You may be down 27-0 before too long.
Fitzgerald again with time, again throws deep. This time over the head of Ross by a few strides. Good coverage by Jamal Adams.
Adams was in front of the receiver. If anything, Fitzgerald maybe bring that down a little bit on his throw. 2
of the 4 guys in the LSU secondary, back to your point about talent, are on the Thorpe award list. 2 of them.
You still have to challenge. You still have to have the vertical throw. It's the only way to make sure a defense is just going to play some coverage and not, when you have a quarterback run-based system, the long throw has to be a piece of it. So you're going to continue to call it whether you're hitting it or not.
Shumpert checks back in at tailback. They spread the field with 4 wide receivers.
Well, you might have just caught a break.
Looked like Godchaw jumped.
Prior to the snap, 57. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, second down.
And when a 299-pounder jumps, you're not going to miss it.
That's a big 5 yards. And if I am Dan Mullen at this point, you've got to, we were on him a little earlier. He had the ball at 37, decided to punt. You're not punting here. You're down 20-0. This point of the game, I don't even know that you're thinking field goal. I think you're thinking 4 downs every single time on this drive. There's that Orgeron, second-year defensive line coach, coming home to Louisiana, doing a terrific job. He's one of the best guys in the business, both recruiting and coaching defensive line.
Your last name's Orgeron. You should be coaching here, shouldn't you?
He's one of the best.
Fitzgerald, run pass option for the corner and incomplete. Flag down. It's going to be interference or holding on Dwayne Thomas, intended for Ross.
Pass interference. Number 13, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Thomas, a backup safety, 6 feet senior. Don't see much.
No, I mean, he was going down and had his arm out. That did not, the term is an obvious intent to impede the receiver. I'm not so sure I saw an obvious intent to impede the receiver. He was falling down, though, and left his arm out. That one's on the line. I'm not as against that call as a couple of the others earlier.
Option pass. Dropped by Ross. They were going to throw back to Fitzgerald.
And when Ross, who had a touchdown pass last week against South Carolina, mishandled the ball when he went to try to change it around to turn and throw. Watch when Ross goes to adjust to make the throw. It just falls right out. He's a left-hander and was just not able to get it. Fitzgerald had a little bit of grass over there.
Yes, he did. Ross is saying to Dan Mullen, you want to call that one again? I'm really good at that. Well, movement again. Looked like Fitzgerald wanted the snap and they weren't going to give it to him.
58 offense.
That's 2 unforced errors. Back to back. You got a bunch of help with an offsides and then a defensive pass interference. And now you give it all back. To me, if I'm Dan Mullen, 3 points is not going to do anything in this game. The way LSU is playing, the way Etling is playing, as much defense as your guys on that side of the ball have already had to play, and the way number 7 is running, 3 points is just not going to get it done. So you got to try to cut this in half, look for a first, something in the end zone.
2nd and 22. Fitzgerald has room. Hit from behind, shakes the tackle, still on his feet. Fitzgerald inside the 23-yard line. It's the kind of run we saw him making last week, where he had an impact on the ground.
And he got really whacked at the end of this run. Terrific run. Runs through the arm tackle.
Shakes the tackle, still on his feet.
He just got whacked. It looked like it could have been head-to-head. I don't think did not look like targeting, but it did look like head-to-head contact there with Jamal Adams. Fitzgerald bounced right back up. Did not look like he was injured. Looked like he was just jumped right up.
3rd and 13. Takes off, nowhere to go. Godshaw, the first man to hit him. Now on 4th and 13, do you go for it or do you try field goal?
I know the instinct is get points on the board. We want to get something going, but I just don't think 3 points is going to be enough. And this was terrific coverage. And a good job by Fitzgerald. That maybe had a short throw over to his left, but that was a good job. Just take it down. You don't want to force something. You don't want to turn over.
Weston Graves will come on to try a 41-yard field goal. His career long was kicked this year 48. And he knocks this one through to get Mississippi State on the board with 3:31 to go in the first half. It's 20-3 LSU. Another big first half for Leonard Fournette. What else is new?
Yep, he was a bit questionable coming in with a left ankle injury. He had a high ankle sprain in camp, missed some time, re-injured it against Wisconsin, sat out against Jacksonville State, and even though in warm-ups and early on he looked like he wasn't quite able to get up on that toe fully and accelerate, he can accelerate just enough, and he's still one powerful man. First time I've seen him in person, obviously studying him on tape. He's fun to watch. He really is a terrific talent.
3:31 to go in the half. Two running backs, Brissett and Geis, are deep. Geis from the 2. Picks his way across the 20 and then push back. We check in with Chris Cotter. Chris.
From the 2-yard line to the 23-yard line.
Chris, thank you very much. LSU now with 3:21 to go in the half at their own 22-yard line.
This is where your offensive line a little banged up, but you're in an I formation for your power run game. This is where you hope you can just run 7 and whittle this down and maybe get another score, but definitely not give the ball back.
Toss sweep for a couple.
And now if you're Mississippi State, just doing everything you can to try to get yourself a stop, and then you've got 3 timeouts. See if you can't get something going. You know, if you're able to get the ball back with those 3 timeouts, you got a little something going offensively last time. Maybe you can get it to 20-10.
LSU in no hurry right now unless they can break one. Fournette on the draw. Have to make the 32-yard line for a first down.
Well, unfortunately, Richie Brown went to make an arm tackle on Leonard Fournette, and he immediately grabbed his left arm. He did make the tackle, but as he came by and went to wrap up or get his left arm around, he immediately grabbed it. Yeah, it's his left arm.
May have hurt it when he fell. He landed on his elbow, could have jammed his shoulder.
And this is a guy, a 5th-year senior, that middle linebacker spot. Desmond Harris probably would come in, a guy who's coming back from knee surgery. 3 of them, as a matter of fact. But Brown, a 5th-year senior. And when you're playing against a running back like Leonard Fournette, you don't want to lose a 5th-year senior middle linebacker.
Looks like he could be all right. Here's Chris again.
Third down, 3. The Tigers, 29-yard line.
Chris still trying to get over the Florida State Louisville game.
That was even more than
imagine.
North Dakota State Iowa. That one shocked me more than that.
3rd and 3. LSU trying to move the sticks and work a little more clock. Etling out into the flat, has it complete, first down and more. Foster Moreau, the backup tight end, a 6'5" sophomore, and that's what Etling does very, very well. You might not like the term game manager, but I do. It indicates you've got skills in the short passing game.
And it opens up so much more for Cam Cameron in this offense. They really have worked hard to put in some new wrinkles. They run the pistol now, which is that shorter shotgun snap, so you can run some power runs out of a shotgun formation.
Quick throw to Malachi Dupree.
And I think Cam Cameron has found a new position for Dupree, a guy who was really struggling at outside receiver. They've moved him into slot. Got a little bounce in his step. He's got a quarterback putting it on his hands, and this is a guy who was really, along with Brandon Harris, was really struggling in the first couple of ball games.
Fournette into the line, stopped by Des Harris. And the reason they made that position change is Dupree was having a terrible time getting off of press coverage. You put him in the slot, you can't press him.
No, he's off the ball. And you know, if I'm not LSU, I'd start thinking about the clock just a touch here, because I would want, you know, this is still a very, it's only a couple of scores. There's Cam Cameron on the right. Big week for him this week. His daughter radio debuted a single that she made. He was late for our meeting. Pretty excited about all that.
Very pretty song. Her name is Lizzie. They had about a 20-second clip that you could hear on the internet. Listened to it about 4 times last night. She's got a pretty voice. She wrote the song for her dad, who was diagnosed with cancer. Just Google it. You'll really like it.
These guys been under a lot of pressure because of the struggles of this offense, and now that he's got a quarterback, the former quarterback himself, longtime NFL quarterback coach, gets things done.
Etling, nice throw over the middle. Doral made the catch, knocked down immediately by Lashard Durr.
And now, if you're Cameron, you've got to start thinking the clock's going to start going here. You do have 1 timeout, so I think the run still comes into play. 7 would be that touchdown's way better than the 3, so you do want to think about end zone here. Getting close to field goal range.
4-man rush. Has the man open and overthrew it. Intended for Doral.
Well,
a little woofing at each other in the end zone.
And that's Brandon Bryant, who came over late to get into Dural's face. So I'd be very careful.
What is it about wide receivers and defensive backs?
You know what it is? Because they go against each other all year long now. With 7-on-7, they go spring, summer, so they just practice talking trash to each other literally all year round. It's not just during the fall anymore. They get to practice the skill 12 months a year.
Yeah, they've gotten really good at it, I'll say that. Underneath, Fournette, first down, lowers his shoulder and just crushes Leo Lewis.
It was the broken tackle, though, about 3 yards before the first down that makes him special. There were
Richie
2
Brown
here, and there's Richie Brown, who had the arm injury in the last tackle, maybe slowing him down. But boy, that was a heck of a first missed tackle run through.
He just discards people.
You know what it looks like a little bit? It looks like they're trying to tackle a really fast round barrel. Like you just can't get your arms around it and it bounces off of you.
Clock running. Now hand it to Fournette. That was an odd call.
You got to get a timeout here. You got to get a timeout. Yeah.
3rd and final timeout of the half.
I think you got to think about throwing this in. And Fournette he can score from anywhere, so it's not a terrible call to call him. But I do think you need to throw one here on 3rd down, at least into the end zone.
Well, you have to. You throw it short, you'll never get back to the line of scrimmage to run the next play.
Exactly.
Time now to look at the AP rankings, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Talk about something that's tenuous. Being ranked in the top 10, Alabama had to hang on for dear life. Florida State is gone after that beatdown by Louisville. There is a weather delay with number 3. Number 4, Michigan was behind and came back. So the top 3 of the top 4 teams struggled mightily.
The Florida State one, the 63 points just blew me away. This was, and I know Derwin James, who was the best defender for Florida State, is out for a few weeks with a bad knee. But that aside, one player being gone, I did not think that Louisville and Lamar Jackson had 63 that they could hang on the Seminoles. They looked pretty efficient today.
You could have shown people that score and said, do you think this is true or false? There wouldn't have been many that would have picked true. 2nd and 14. Excuse me, 3rd and 5 with 14 seconds left. Into the end zone, incomplete. Well covered by Jamoral Graham, had been burned a couple of times in this game. And that'll bring on the field goal unit.
Just picking nits here. It felt like LSU should have had 2 or 3 more shots into the end zone on this drive. It felt like they got comfortable milking the clock and running number 7. But the way Etling's been playing, you're only up 20-13. This will only put you up 3 touchdowns. I know it feels like that should be a runaway score in the second half, but it just felt like LSU could have taken a few more shots at 7 here.
Delahousse from 27. And that will not count. Mississippi State
First charge timeout of the half.
has used a timeout.
Mississippi State.
Now,
it'll be a 30-second timeout.
Do you call it freezing the kicker when it feels like it's 99 degrees outside? What do you call that?
Kicker would appreciate it.
It's an important field goal. Go up 20. 3 scores is a little more comfortable.
Only 11 seconds to go in the half.
And this a team, Mississippi State, that Dan Mullen felt like he didn't prepare very well for South Alabama. They had a really tough week of practice against South Carolina, played with so much energy and enthusiasm last week, and this week ran into somebody who's taken away their energy and enthusiasm.
Delahousse. Timeout was barely a distraction, and he knocks it through. Celebrating its 12th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions of dollars in scholarship funds. Seven seconds to go in the half, and LSU has regained that 20-point margin.
LSU wearing throwback unis. A visit from Y.A. Tittle a couple of years ago, one of their greats, and Les Miles had an idea that they wanted to go back to the classic gold with the numbers on the side, so the players pretty excited about that tonight.
I like the helmets more than the jerseys. The helmets are great.
I like the jerseys, a little different.
No, I like them, but I like the helmets more.
Well, then I'll take a jersey, you take a helmet.
All right, thank you very much. And I'll feel safer.
Of course, I'm joking. You would look funny riding home to the hotel with that 36 helmet on your head.
Well, that's true.
On your Harley. Dirty trick with an onside kick here, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Just cool. Holloway as they go with no squib kick. Excuse me, Deere on the return, and he is belted as he got across the 15-yard line. And John Battle, backup safety, just unloaded on him.
Careful with that head down. Battle really dips his head before the hit. You gotta. That's something when you look at the tape, I hope the coaches say, you've got to take your head out of that hit, young man. I don't think that was an illegal targeting because he didn't launch or lead with his head, but when you duck that head on a big hit, you are putting yourself and the other player in major danger.
An impressive first half for Danny Etling and the LSU offense. At the half, it's 23-3. Now we send you to Chris Cotter for the Outback Steakhouse halftime report.
Boy, it's hard to hear down here, but I'm
talking about Louisiana being a football state. They understand this game, and when a guy is playing like Etling is, it reminds a lot of people like Matt Flynn, Zach Mettenberger, guys who played quarterback here who had a full command and could do some things, and this is a guy who can do some things.
Mississippi State will get the ball to start the third quarter. Brandon Holloway is deep. Les Miles has got to like what he sees. Mississippi State trying to generate some juice on the sideline. Holloway waits, takes it at the 6. Doesn't get to the 20. We check in with Jerry Punch. Doctor.
spoke with a very frustrated Dan Mullen at halftime. In fact, he had almost lost his voice and couldn't speak. He said, you know, we run the same plays they run. Reverses, double reverses, throwbacks. They catch the football, we don't. Their reverse works because they block, we don't. We're not getting time to throw the football. We just got to be able to execute. We're not executing at all offensively. Very, very frustrated Dan Mullen at halftime.
And Jerry, certainly when you play somebody of this caliber with this level of athletic ability as LSU has, you have to make plays. When you get the opportunity, you've got to pull it off. Fake to Holloway, Fitzgerald. Down the sideline, nice back shoulder throw to Donald Gray.
Second time tonight, Gray's done an excellent job of adjusting to the ball. I believe he's working again on Kevin Tolliver, and Tolliver was turning around that time, but still didn't see it like we saw earlier in the game. Terrific throw by Fitzgerald, driving that ball in there.
They cross midfield into LSU territory. Critical opening drive of the third quarter. We really need to make something happen with it. Fitzgerald forced out of the pocket, throws on the run. Not an easy job for Holloway at 165 pounds to be a pass protector, is it?
No, and he's a bit of a hybrid body. They do have some bigger backs in Harris Williams and Ashton Schumpert, but this is a guy they use. He can run between the tackles, but yeah, that's where we saw Fournette at 235 pounds pick up a block, pick up a blitz earlier. Is a little bit different outcome.
Ross in motion. Fitzgerald back to Ross on a flanker screen. Very well designed play. Got Ross to run into trips on the left side and then threw it to him.
Good drive to start this half for Mississippi State. Remember, with Dak Prescott, of course, last year's a quarterback, Mississippi State was down 21-6 and made a nice run. Cut it to 21-19, missed a two-point conversion, and then got the ball back and missed a 52-yard field goal to win it against LSU. So there is some history. LSU the year before made a furious comeback to fall short.
They need to reach the 39 for a first down, and that pass tipped it incomplete. Fitzgerald got his helmet knocked off.
Well, and here would be the problem if you were deciding you wanted to go for it on fourth down, because it wasn't knocked off by penalty. Fitzgerald would not be able to play the snap. So, you know, in an area, you're down 20. You know, we were at the 37 earlier thinking they should have gone for it. Here, you know, a little closer to midfield, so you could make an argument for the punt. But even if you wanted to go for it, the quarterback wouldn't have been able to play the play.
Cook punting to White, trying to get the backspin on the end-over-end kick, and does. And down inside the 15-yard line. Kickers have become so good with that. 34-yard kick, no return.
Fournette's first half, shocker. The big 230-pounder was getting it done in the middle. He does have the speed to get to the outside, but they have run right behind J.D. Moore in that I formation. The fullback's done a great job. The offensive line, which has had some guys banged up, is doing a nice job. But the belly of Mississippi State has been the soft spot so far.
It's a big offensive line that leads them out. Jeter will start the second half at tight end, number 81, and Fournette starts the second half at tailback. And Moore has had a couple of great blocks to lead the All-American. Looking to throw to Moore now, and breaks a tackle across the 20 to the 21. So the blocking fullback gets a cookie.
And you know, terrific catch too. He's got to do the turn the hands over, make a catch, and then he makes a guy miss in space. So this is not just like a little something to eat occasionally. This is a guy who can make something happen in the open field.
Snap, false start. Number 75 going down into a three-point stance while the ball was being snapped. 5-yard penalty, second down.
It's the sophomore Tahuma.
Tahuma's a guy, Maya Tahuma, who's been slowed by. He's one of the guys who's been banged up. He was slowed by an ankle injury. He's kind of bounced around. He goes in. He's the first tackle to go in if someone goes down, now playing at right guard. Of course, Les Miles' background as an offensive line coach. He was an offensive lineman himself at Michigan.
2nd and 7. And this pass off target, intended for Jeter. He was covered by Gary Green, the weak side linebacker. How likely is LSU to win a night game at home with Les Miles? They are 50-6, a crisp 89%.
This is a neat place to come on a Saturday night. And it, just FYI, if you're coming here, it takes a while to get to this building. Park a long way away and walk in, because it's more than 90,000 come to the game, a lot more, and hang out and tailgate outside.
We get to eat 3 times on the way in, though. This pass over the middle, just off target. Doral was running a crossing route, dove for it and couldn't get it.
First bad drive for Etling.
Right.
He just looked a little bit off on that drive. He's had a couple of misfires. He's been pretty accurate all night, but those were 2 missed throws, and all of a sudden, Mississippi State, who got a little something going on offense, just down 3 touchdowns, getting the ball back and should have some decent field position.
Ross is deep.
Ross
Pretty
can
good
do it.
Return guy.
Yeah, he can do it.
Had a punt return for touchdown last year. Fair catch signal made outside the 40-yard line. 44-yard kick, no return. 3rd quarter from Baton Rouge. The Tigers on top.
Cool. And Bruce Patrick was a guy in Virginia. And Bruce Patrick was a guy who was an elegant leader. He was always in charge, but he never really had to tell you that. He just had a calm presence about him, and he really cared about the young men and women that he taught, and then, of course, the young men he coached in football.
Mixon gets a carry, a guy they love to use on wide plays because of his terrific speed. Picks up 4. The best football coaches, I think, refer to themselves as teachers.
Oh, yeah. That clearly was the case with our high school staff. And I was so fortunate that for a public school, when I walked in, I had as good a football staff as I could ever imagine.
Schumpert straight ahead. And Valentine, the nose man, was in on the stop. Big number 55. Mullen, of course, has really turned around a program that had very little success before he arrived there. And Les Miles has won a national championship. He's had 5 10-win seasons. But there is always a but when you finish talking about Les Miles' record for some reason. Fitzgerald, quarterback draw, just shy of a first down, perhaps.
Got to go for it here. If it's an inch, you got to go for it. There's just no way you're punting this ball. You're down. There's no way you think that LSU's offense is going to come around and flop around like they did on the last drive. So,
no, they're not going to give you anything, are they? You're going to have to take it.
No, but here's the problem. I don't know that you want to run this between the tackles. I think you want some type of quarterback option. I think you want Fitzgerald to have the ball in his hands and maybe getting it on the edge in a run play. I don't think you want to run inside between the tackles here.
They need about 6 inches. That's it. Fitzgerald fakes the sweep, first down and more. Gets what he can. He gets out of bounds. Nice play call, nice execution.
And it was a fake to the inside, and it was collapsing. You mentioned the name Trevante Valentine. This guy's 360 pounds at the nose guard. And that was a terrific ball fake and outside run. That was a run last week against South Carolina. I think he took it for about 70 yards. So that's a nice play.
Fitzgerald hands it off to Eris Williams.
You know, it's interesting, Mike. You mentioned a moment ago when you were talking about Holloway struggling, picking up the blitz. and then could he run inside? All of a sudden, we're seeing the bigger backs in for Dan Mullen. So it looks like they've made a personnel adjustment where Williams and Shumpert, both well into the 200s, almost 220, are now in the game instead of Holloway.
I mean, no matter how willing or how good the technique is, the guy's 165 pounds. You can't fake that.
Well, it definitely, they use him on the inside as part of the changeup. But you can see part of what Mullen and his offensive staff now trying to do is get a little bit of a hammer in there for the inside zone run.
Fitzgerald, quarterback keeper all the way, rolls inside the 30. So a little power football right now from Mississippi State.
Kendall Beckwith, watch him use his hands on the lead block by Harris Williams. Watch the hands. Nope, you're not going to block me. I mean, you cannot. That's well coached. Great hand use, long arms, and he just took a 220-pound man and made him go the other way before he made the tackle.
He is on both the Butkus and Bednarik watch lists for the best linebacker in college football. You see how physical he is. Fitzgerald looks to his right, can't find anybody, comes back left, underthrown, and incomplete. It was almost intercepted. Dante Jackson got his hands on it, just couldn't hold it.
Well, Fitzgerald would want just a little more air on this throw when he looks at it. An excellent job by a young quarterback staying alive in the pocket. And Dante Jackson, a young man that LSU's very high on, incredibly explosive, is a great position, makes a good play on the ball. And now you hear 4th and short. You have to go for it again if you're Mississippi State. Field goals are not going to do anything for you here in the second half. I think, again, you want Fitzgerald on the edge with some type of run.
Donald Gray on that last play had to turn defensive back and save the interception. 4th down out in the flat. This is going to be close. Williams drives forward for the first down. Nice job by the 217-pound running back, and there is a flag down as well.
No, I think they threw the beanbag down for a fumble at the end of the play. It was hard to tell. The ball seemed
to... the field as the runner was down. First down.
Looked like they threw the beanbag down, and they can...
He's not down yet.
Oh, that ball is coming out. Well, the defender would have to recover it clean in the immediate action after the play for them to overturn that, and clearly that was not the case. It looked like Jamal Adams may have had that. They would have reviewed it had he had it cleanly, but since he didn't and it was ruled a fumble on the field, they're not going to review it.
Fitzgerald had no chance. Tre'Davious White was coming on a blitz along and had a lot of help as well.
Defensive line moving to the inside, and White comes from the outside. When that corner's coming off the blitz, the defensive line goes the other way, and White is just playing at a whole different level. He's a guy, because of the growth of Dante Jackson, has been able to move in to that nickel back closer to the line of scrimmage position. And Dave Aranda knows he has a real special talent, using him a bunch of different ways.
Preseason All-SEC. This is Ashton Shumpert, the big back, listed at 218, but they say he's closer to 230, and he runs low and hard.
So really, Mississippi State is showing something here. This is a good drive. They seem to want to go back, and make some mistakes, some negative yardage plays, but they're starting to get some inside run going with the bigger backs in Williams and Shumpert.
Now remember, if you're going to go 4 down territory, you've got 2 plays to pick up 6 yards. And Mississippi State is going to have to use a timeout. These things might be precious in the 4th quarter. Third and 6 for the Bulldogs. Flanker screen drop right through Ross's hands. They had it set up. Nice design on that play.
Yeah, they sure did.
And a good move by Fitzgerald. Look at him. So we practiced it all week. It's a perfect time to run it.
Yeah, well, that's what Mullen was talking about with Dr. Punch. You just got to make a play. It's there. Just drops it. And he's got blocking out in front. And now, you know, I know you're kicking the field goal, but still think that you would consider going for it here on 4, so maybe a fake.
This would only cut it to 17, so you're still down 3 scores.
Yeah.
Nice little draw to get it inside the right upright. So you know they're disappointed with only getting 3 points out of that drive because they were able to move the ball, but it's 23-6. Dilford, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, and Randy Moss will take you right up to 4.
I think I caught it.
Dice barrels out to the 30. And let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doc.
Well, for you diehard college football fans, do not adjust your television sets because LSU is wearing the throwback gridiron gold uniforms, reminiscent of the colors the Tigers wore back in the 40s when one Y.A. Tittle was a quarterback here from 1944 to 47. The last time they wore them here at Tiger Stadium was 1996, and they beat Vanderbilt 35-0. By the way, the white helmets with numbers on them, they haven't worn them since 1971, so a throwback night. Pretty effective here for the Tigers so far.
Seems to work for the offense, doesn't it?
Well, I think Fournette would work at about every era.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He gets another chance here, and that force him out of bounds. All right, here's an unwritten trivia question. Y.A. Tittle, what does the Y.A. stand for?
I couldn't even.
You have no chance. It's Yelberton Abraham.
I never. Yeah, that sounds like a fictional name.
But boy, was he good.
Yeah. Yelberton Abraham. There's no way I thought I was going to hear that.
That's why he went by Y.A. Fournette actually lost a yard on that last play. Now they get him straight up the middle. Powers his way to the 41.
Well, I want to mention the offensive line for LSU that's been banged up since the preseason. Toby Weathersby, the starting right tackle. We saw him in a walking boot as he came out from halftime. So Tahuma moves over to the right guard. Butte, who came back from suspension there at the right guard. You still have Posick at center, and Clapp, who's been battling a couple injuries, back in at left guard, and KJ Malone at left tackle.
Fournette, 17 carries, 102 yards. That's 17 in his career. He even has 4 200-yard games to his credit. Flag down at the end of this play. Jeter is pleading his case and pulled away by the referee.
Prior to the snap, offside. Number 88 defense. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Nick James, the 6'5", 320-pound senior. Guys just keep getting bigger and bigger. 6'5", 320 isn't even considered big anymore. And these are guys that can run. First and 5 from the 45-yard line. Fournette. 5 more. Chris Cotter's in the studio. Chris. And at the end of that last play, Chris, the ball apparently came out, and Gary Green, according to the officials, has recovered Fournette's fumble.
And give the officials credit for staying alive on this play. For all of us, it seemed like the play was over. Oh, that was fully cleaned out by Desmond Harris, the young man who's probably getting a little more run with Richie Brown being dinged up. An excellent job by Harris getting that ball out. And Fournette, Mississippi State has just a touch of life. I know from what you've seen in the first half.
Dan Mullen exercised about something.
Well, they're going to be fine. It looked to me like that ball came out. It looked like Leonard Fournette was still moving forward.
Yes.
When it was pulled out. But LSU is messing around and letting this Mississippi State team. Yeah, that ball's clearly out. Excellent job by Des Harris. But they're allowing a team, this Mississippi State team, which has talent. Fred Ross is a really good receiver. Fitzgerald can run. He can pick up 30-40 in a blink. He can throw. We've seen some of the tight end talent they have. So this is a team that you keep giving them a chance. And, of course, defense is way harder to play than offense. Takes way more energy, way more focus throughout the game. And that's why you start seeing in the fourth quarter, as great as LSU is on defense, if they keep giving the ball back to Mississippi State, there's going to start being some creases that weren't there in the first and second quarters.
This is certainly taking a long time for the replays that we saw.
After the review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Mississippi State.
Sometimes it will take a little longer to make sure they spot the ball right, to make sure they could tell where it was finally recovered. But a mistake.
A rare mistake by Fournette.
On a brilliant return after missing last week's game, he gives a little more life back to Mississippi State.
And really, when you're stood up like that and a whole bunch of guys are pulling at your arms and your hands, it's tough to hold on to it. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. They've gotten a little bit going in the last 4 drives. Haven't been able to finish one yet for 7.
They're still down by 3 scores. Can't mess around with any field goals anymore, that's for sure. Shumpert driving straight forward. When they decided to go to the power game, it's picked up their offense.
Well, early in the game they were trying to run between the tackles, but they were trying to do it with Holloway at 165 pounds, and now they've got their 220 guys in there, both for pass protection and also working as blockers for Fitzgerald when he runs.
Fitzgerald gives it to Shumpert, cuts it up inside.
Ooh, he
was
a nice
on top
cut.
of a tackler and spun forward for enough for a first down.
Yes, he was. That was nice. Shumpert looked like he was going to be tackled, if not for a loss, right at the line of scrimmage. He made a nice little move, pick up a first down.
.429 and counting, third quarter. Fans getting a little nervous here. 100,000 of them. Shumpert again, just keeping the legs moving and driving down to the 36-yard line.
And you know what this starts to do? Bring those safeties and everybody closer to the line of scrimmage. And we've seen that Mississippi State will throw it down the field. They have some of their bigger bodies out there. Jordan Thomas, the 300-pound tight end, is out there. Justin Johnson, another 6'3", 240 tight end. These can be throwdowns.
Shumpert has a hole off the right side.
This is impressive. This is a great job by this offensive line. Jamal Claiborne, the center, I've been watching him quite a bit tonight. He has had his hands full and doing an excellent job. Wonderful right guard play there by Deion Calhoun, who got a nice block down. And this offensive line starting to chip away and make some 4, 5, 6-yard gains.
Fake to Shumpert, Fitzgerald with time, deep post, and dropped. Another one in the hands and dropped by Ross.
Ross made a terrific adjustment. There was coverage both on top and underneath. Fitzgerald underthrew the ball a little bit, which was the right throw. Boy, that looks like Ross should bring it down. Ricky Jefferson up there still fighting for it. But this is a ball. You know,
if Jefferson doesn't reach in like that, it's a touchdown.
I'm not going to call that a drop. I think that was good defense. When a guy punches up from the bottom there, that's somebody making a play on the ball. That was not a flat drop by Ross. Good defense.
Jefferson didn't quit.
No.
Fitzgerald again. This one almost intercepted, intended for Jordan Thomas. Tolliver got there and got a piece of it.
Thomas, the intended receiver, 20-yard line. Tolliver broke it up.
Boy, this is excellent coverage on this one as well.
Play was almost made. That's that big tight end out there lined up as a wide receiver. Tolliver does a wonderful job getting in there. And here's Mississippi State again. A field goal cuts it to 14. So it's a little different than last time, but I still think you get 8 or 9 here. I still think you're probably going for it on 4th.
They've only converted 1 third down, and they're not going to convert this one as Fitzgerald is buried. And that may even take him out of field goal range.
You know, for Mississippi State, they've got the run game going, and all of a sudden they kind of force Fitzgerald into a passer. And this is, you know, we saw when they had Fitzgerald in the end zone earlier in the game, just not sure why you'd want this guy just standing there in the pocket against this defensive line. They've been able to chip away with the run, and then all of a sudden they became an NFL pocket passing team.
From the 36, the punt team is on. You're still down 3 scores. And there's only 2:25 to go in the 3rd quarter. 30-yard kick, no return. Third quarter time of possession. 10-16 for Mississippi State, 2:19 for LSU, and yet almost nothing has changed.
And 2 official rain jinxes by Mike Patrick.
Still hasn't worked. Now if you're LSU, all you try to do is run for a couple of first downs.
Yeah. Mississippi State has had, you know, we've been kind of nitpicking some play calling here or there, but they really have had, Mississippi State has had a few opportunities to make this a much more competitive game. Fred Ross, we said, was a drop. That wasn't. That was just terrific defense at the end by Jefferson. But Mississippi State has had their chances. They really have. I'm not saying they would be winning, but it would be a little more competitive.
That's great. Everybody in the world knows it's going to be Fournette. And Fournette really upset as somebody was holding on to him and he didn't like it.
And there's another LSU player down. And a Mississippi State player.
Very, very physical football game.
And that's Brandon Bryant, the safety, who's had a hard time tonight. And unfortunately, that is
it's K.J. Malone.
Yeah, the left tackle. As he finishes the run. 49. Yeah, you got to let go of the leg. I mean, you just.
That's why he was upset, and rightfully so.
Torrey Dale, you got to let that go.
All right, let's find out what's going on in the studio with Chris Cotter. Chris. All right, thanks very much, Chris. And Fournette comes out on 3rd and 5, and K.J. Malone able to walk off on his own power, a little gingerly, and there's the mailman.
His father, of course, Hall of Fame NBAer with the Jazz, went to Louisiana Tech. Family lives in Ruston, where Louisiana Tech is located, and K.J. looks a little gimpy.
You and I and our spotter Dave Dare could team up with Karl Malone and Shaq. We'd beat some people.
I feel like we may not beat some people.
All right, you play in the other team. Dave and I, Mark Fredrickson, will go with Shaq and Karl.
But that is 2 tackles, both Toby Weathersby and K.J. Malone, the 2 starting tackles, now out. And that's Ethan Posick moves over to left tackle. The senior center, and Andy Dodd moves up at center.
Fournette's back in on 3rd and 5. And the pass complete for a first down out across the 30. Nice throw to Traven Durrell.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ethan Posick.
Holding. Number 77 offense. Penalties half the distance to the goal line.
And his
3rd down.
Durrell's 4th catch wiped out by the penalty.
Posick, who just moved from center to left tackle, which is like moving from shortstop to first base. I mean, it's just a totally different position. And it just happens to be going up against one of the better rushers in the league. And A.J. Jefferson gets to the inside, and that right hand to Posick. Pretty good feet there. I mean, he didn't get beat too bad, but that is holding.
It's more like moving from first base to shortstop.
Correct. That's a very, yes. That's way more like
and
that.
And if they do that, good luck to you.
Yeah.
So now 3rd and 11, they move the ball back to the 6.
And LSU just letting these Bulldogs hang around. And Bulldogs, the Mississippi State has just enough guys to keep this interesting on offense. You keep giving the ball back, they're going to spring one.
Pressure. And out of bounds to 15. Needed to make the 17. Edling was really giving it the effort, trying to dive for the sticks, but came up short.
And I always get worried when guys stretch this far. I always worry about shoulders and as he goes down there, I was worried about that elbow hitting the ground, your throwing elbow, and he was rolling over in a little bit of pain. He bounced up pretty quick, but I was worried about landing on your elbow. I remember guys diving for balls and tearing that shoulder up just because you're extending it incorrectly.
Groden hangs the punt up. Ross makes the fair catch near midfield. 37-yard kick and no return. Week 2 of Monday Night Football has the Eagles and the Bears. Rookie quarterback Carson Wentz against veteran Jay Cutler. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern, followed by the Eagles and the Bears at 8:15 on ESPN, as well as streaming live on Watch ESPN. Wentz acquitted himself very, very well in the opening ball game. .309 SEC players on NFL rosters. This league just produces them every single year, and this school in particularly, LSU. Fitzgerald, good play fake, then throws underneath, complete to Williams, and Eris Williams down to the 45-44 yard line.
I think Dan Mullen has found, some of his fans have been asking for the bigger guys to go at running back, and he's, I mean, I've already seen some. Eris Williams and Austin Shumpert. Shumpert made a nice move earlier. Looks like they've got a little something going at the running back position.
Mississippi State here in the second half has been able to move the ball at LSU, but they're still down 23-6. Moved the ball, but just one field goal to show for it. They're back in LSU territory. Fitzgerald, quarterback draw all the way, gets nothing. The holes that were there against South Carolina aren't there tonight.
Yeah, a little different defense. And I think South Carolina might have been a little caught off guard with the true speed of Fitzgerald. Again, you're over the 50. You're in 3rd and medium. You have to, if you're Mississippi State, be thinking of going for it on 4th down, I think. So you don't have to have it all here. You could have another quarterback run potentially.
Holloway goes in motion. You've got 4 to the right side. Fitzgerald again tripped up. Flag is down as well. And it was number 49, Arden Key, who got a piece of the quarterback's ankle as he tried to sprint to the outside.
And I would imagine this will be declined because the result of the play is a sack, which would get you to 4th down.
Holding. Number 55 of the offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Martinez Rankin.
That's Arden Key, who is in a battle with A.J. Jefferson from Mississippi State to lead the league in sacks, and Key just went right by Rankin.
So now looking at a 4th and 9, they will punt. White is deep. Going to let this one go. Another great punt. This one will be down at the 1. Logan Cook, good kick.
Ever not pant?
No.
Are they ever just normally breathing?
They constantly drool. Some movement up front. Don't see a flag.
Ooh. Mississippi State just got very lucky in the middle of that defensive line. It was Corey Thomas that kind of flinched. I'm not sure that he broke into the neutral zone being the length of the football. Peter Sermon, the first-year defensive coordinator, took over from Manny Diaz, who left to go home to Miami and take the job under Mark Richt there. Sermon, his first job coordinating the defense, longtime assistant and an NFL linebacker.
Aired this one out incomplete. That was a good play call. Give it a shot down there. Here's Chris Cotter. Chris, thanks very much.
Bit of a shocker. I don't think people thought much of Missouri this season.
No, they got mugged when they started.
Yeah. You know, you were saying taking that shot for a long shot, good call, but also it stops the clock. And that's your.
It does that.
Yeah, that's your.
Here's Fournette. They want to bottle him up for it and get a first down. Fournette with that power. And the offensive lineman behind him helped out. They got him that extra yard and a half that will give him a first down. That's the beauty of having a 235-pound battering ram as a running back.
It looked like this play was dead about 3 yards before the first down, right there. You give Butte a lot of credit. He was in there fighting, but it also helps to have that guy fighting as well.
Mark McLaurin, number 41, was holding on for dear life, but got a free ride across the 10. One more time into the breach. And Fournette out to the 25.
Well, I don't know.
Smitherman just tripped him up.
I don't know how many more times we're going to see Etling rear back and throw this ball down the field. If Les Miles has anything to do with it, I think we're going to see number 7. And not that he can't come out like he is, because we've obviously seen Darius Geis, a very capable backup, which is a mouthful when you have arguably one of the better running backs we've seen in college football in
24 carries, 137 yards, 2 scores. Just another night at the office for Leonard Fournette. They're having chain issues. Let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doc?
Hey, update a couple of LSU offensive linemen. Right tackle Toby Weathersby just talked to Kerry Winder, the orthopedic surgeon. He's got a right ankle sprain, thus the boot. And KJ Malone cramping it. Take him to the locker room for IV fluids. He should be back, guys.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it. I know how hot it is down on the field. It was in the mid-80s, and they said it felt like 99. Doral is really ripped by Graham. Don't want your quarterback throwing that pass so you get all those ribs exposed.
pretty good throw by Etling, though. It was on time. But you're right, Graham planning on this. Took his head out of the tackle. Good clean tackle by Graham. You see both guys just pop up and go back to the huddle. It's always the goal.
2nd and 2. Take a lot of time off the play clock. And Darius Geis, the Baton Rouge project. There's a lot of superior high school football down here between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. One program after another that produces high school all-stars.
5 off.
Fournette said, "I'm rested." He's back in the game. How about this? Etling floats it in over the head of an open Fournette.
I know
you said they weren't going to throw the ball anymore.
I know you want to keep your offensive playbook open, I just don't know why you wouldn't be Geis Fournette. Roll it out, maybe let him throw one occasionally, but
well, make him pay. If they want to put 9 guys in a box, make them pay for it.
Well, they're paying for it in the run game with 9 guys in the box. So there's Cam Cameron again. I know you want to keep the playbook open a bit, but boy, this clock's your friend now. It's your enemy if you keep giving the ball back and not getting productivity.
Etling with the out, almost intercepted and then caught. What a catch by T.J. Chark. It went through the defender's hands and he went right down to the turf to get it.
J.T. Gray, a linebacker. Wow,
did that hit the ground?
It didn't look like it to me. We may get a review, but this is the second time that to be able, because the ball changed flight, for Chark to be able to pull that up off the grass looked like a catch, and he did the same thing he did on that long touchdown earlier where he showed the ball that he had control of it as he was going down.
You look at it the second time as Fournette runs the sweep. That was a brilliant catch to be able to get it with your fingertips.
But where your heart came out of your throat is where the linebacker, and this is a top 10 nominee, the catch by Chark. But for Mississippi State, an opportunity lost. LSU seeming to be playing almost like they're behind a bit, saving some clock, and instead of the INT, Chark makes a great catch.
I think when they saw how close that was to a pick, I think you're going to get your prediction. Well, no, you're not. Etling being very careful with it, though, and forced out of bounds by Green.
Of course, the clock stops for a moment, but then we'll restart because we're outside of 2 minutes and a half. So the guy running out of bounds. There goes the clock. So it's about 11 or 12 seconds that you could have burned had you stayed in bounds. And I think those are the little things. I think LSU ends up winning this game. However, if Mississippi State can make a run, you're going to look back if you're LSU and say, how many 10, 15, 20, 30 second sections of this game did we give back to Mississippi State?
Geis. Certainly Etling, there's a flag down on the play. Etling has justified the change in quarterbacks, hasn't he?
Yes. It's unfortunately for Brandon Harris, he was just struggling with his accuracy and his confidence, and that's not the case with Etling.
Personal foul, illegal block below the waist. Number 84 of the offense. 15-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Foster Moreau, one of the tight ends.
But Etling, a young man who transferred, lost his job at Purdue. And there's Brandon Harris. The coaches have been trying to make sure he stays focused. Everyone said that they're going to need him as the season goes on. But you could just, there's just a whole different feel with Etling in the game. And you start to see as K.J. Malone comes back out from the locker room, still he's got that drink in his hand there, trying to get over the cramps that Doc Punch reported he has.
So second and long now. Etling, nice out cut by Dupree, and Etling put it on the numbers. And that's what he can do. He's got great touch. He's not going to rifle the ball 70 yards in the air. And probably a couple of patterns they wouldn't want him to throw. But boy, when you can make throws like this, you're pretty good.
He just has such a good feel, a calm presence as he stands in the pocket. He looks, I brought this up to Coach Miles yesterday, he looks like Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn, of course, the quarterback of the 2007 National Championship team for Miles. He just has that balance, that confidence, stands in the pocket. If he has time, it's almost always a completion. It's got to be pretty comfortable feeling for Tiger fans.
Geis to the 34.
And you think of the high and low of the end of last season when Les Miles, they went on a losing streak, and there was rumors about him losing his job. And then they win the last game against A&M. He gets carried off the field by his players. His players really do like and respect him. I think that's the thing. No matter what happens in his career here at LSU, the players who played for Les, they like him. He does care for the players. They carried him off the field, but the high and low coming in this year thinking of potential national championship and then losing to Wisconsin, I think this team is good enough to bounce back from that.
Fournette is back in the game on 4th and about 2. And they'll run the All-American for it. Look at this. Fournette lost the ball. And it looks like LSU got it back for a first down. Trying to get that extra effort, he coughed it up.
First down, Tigers.
And that's the second fumble of the night for Fournette. Hey, if he doesn't lose that ball, Mike, I'm not sure if it's a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, when he was spinning out of that pile, everybody from Mississippi State had completely sold out to stop him, all 11 guys. And as he comes flying out of there, terrific job. I believe it was Torrey Dale.
Yeah, he would have had a shot at the next 30 yards, that's for sure.
Not recovered by the fumbling player, so the ball's blown back to the spot of the fumble. This spot is beyond the line of game.
They get the first down anyway. Good job by the officials, because on 4th down, only Fournette could recover it.
If the fumble goes forward,
right?
If it goes backwards, anybody can recover it. But Dale made a terrific play on that ball, and if he didn't have that ball, I think Fournette spins around and walks in, and the rest of this crowd starts heading for home.
The rule is interesting. I'm going to take a look at this. Say Fournette had fumbled it and it went backwards instead of forward. If it still be on the line, he can't be the guy. If it would be a first down, he can't be the guy to recover it. But if it goes back past where you'd get a first down, he could be. That'll lead us to a timeout, won't it?
Every time.
Good food at a place called The Chimes, which has been serving Louisiana comfort food for better than 30 years. They have taken another look at this last play, and we are told there is going to be
After video
turnover.
review, the fumble is at the 33-yard line, which is 1 foot short of the line to gain.
So because it's 4th down, they
turns the
turn
ball
it
over
over.
on downs. First down, Mississippi State.
And a wonderful job by the replay crew here, seeing that in fact Fournette, as he was fighting through and Dale was pulling this ball out on 4th down, if it's fumbled forward, it's not the forward progress, and the ball comes out just before the line to make, indisputable video evidence. That's awfully close.
If you have to look at it for 5 minutes, it does not fit the definition of indisputable.
Whew. Well, I mean, one foot is hard to judge. I would say from the angles we've seen, saying it's 1 foot short of the line to gain is that was hard to see from that video.
Well, the call on the field,
he just missed a touchdown.
Wide open.
Fitzgerald just missed a touchdown.
Gray was 4 steps past everybody.
Yeah,
but going back to that last fumble, and Fitzgerald goes down hard in the arms of Trevante Valentine. But the last play, indisputable is indisputable, which means you can't look at it 7 times and say, gee, I don't know what it is. And the call on the field was a fumble. And a first down.
And a first down, correct. Yeah, I'd have to see another angle to see if you can see that better.
Fitzgerald on the run this time and completes to Gabe Miles.
And now if you're Mississippi State, you got to go fast. You just don't have enough time to. They can go very fast, but they made an excellent call to Donald Gray, and Fitzgerald, a little bit of pressure, missed the throw. But here you are, 23-6. You cannot be taking much time between plays.
Still down 3 scores. Awful lot of time burning off that clock just to get a play, and then get a play that only gets back to the line of scrimmage. And Valentine has been very active up front at 6'4", 256.
He's a guy who was dismissed from the team a few years ago, went to the junior college route, and was almost 400 pounds last time he showed up. And Fitzgerald lost his helmet. So there he's got to go out. Now, unfortunately, on 4th down, they've got to go with a Wildcat. We saw him lose his helmet earlier in the game as well.
Damian Williams comes in on 4th and 3. What a spot. No warm up, no nothing.
He can run.
Throws complete. Got a first down to Donald Gray. And Gray down to the 36-yard line. Gain of 23.
And I think they may leave Damian Williams in the game at quarterback. I don't see Fitzgerald coming back into the game. He didn't look like anything but a lost helmet, but maybe they feel like you complete one, you get a chance. And Williams was a guy who replaced Fitzgerald against South Alabama and finished that game. Was able to drive him down for a game-winning field goal that they missed.
Blitz coming. Back shoulder throw. That may be out of bounds, and it is.
He came out because his helmet came off. Williams completed a pass. A little surprised Fitzgerald has not run back in the game. You can tell by his body language, though, he's in no hurry to get back out there. So Williams, who had been in a battle with Fitzgerald for the starting quarterback that went right up until the first game of the season. Fitzgerald came out against South Alabama, played the first 3 series. Then Williams took over and finished out the rest of the game.
He's a Louisiana kid. Now the referees come in.
Previous play is under video review.
And they want to see if that ball was caught in or out of bounds. That may be a catch. That's Holloway.
Got to watch it all the way through the ground as he controls the ball. The hard part is I'm not sure you have enough video evidence to overturn what was called an incomplete from what I saw there.
After video review, the ruling on the field of catch is confirmed. Ball will be placed at 25-yard line. First down.
This is the previous play. The throw to Holloway was on the outside, closer to the line. They ruled it incomplete. They came out and said the call is confirmed, it is complete, which is wrong one way or another.
Well, they meant overturned and made incomplete. However, from the video I saw, there was no way I could tell whether, I know that the foot was in bounds, but there was no way I could tell Holloway had control of that ball, not only when his left foot went down, but also when he was falling. Another confusing overturn, in my opinion.
Pressure coming. Williams gets rid of it, but throws it into the ground in front of Fred Ross.
And that's Arden Key, who is at times unblockable off the edge. 6'6", 238-pounder has been a terror for the left side. And Nick Fitzgerald had a few struggles in the throwing game. I'm a little surprised that Damian Williams, after Fitzgerald lost his helmet, came in. I felt like Fitzgerald had done just enough to maybe stay in there. That last throw, not Williams thought he was at fault. He was pressured from behind. But I am I am surprised Williams is in the ballgame.
Damian Williams looking toward the sideline, see what play they want. And it's going to be a delay of game. This has been
delay game offense.
Torturous watching the play clock run down and the time run off the game clock as well.
Yeah, this offensive morass for Mississippi State that they're in is a combination of everybody on that sideline. It feels like the coaches have been scrambling a little bit tonight. There hasn't been real comfort sometimes getting the play called. They wanted to be aggressive sometimes, and then they were very conservative at others. It didn't feel like they were ever in a rhythm on the field or off for Mississippi State tonight.
5-man rush, pressure on Williams, another back shoulder throw. This is caught inside the 5. Ross went up, battled for it, came down a gain of 26 against Ed Paris. Boy, he fights for the ball and he gets it at a high point too.
Well done by both guys. Wasn't bad coverage either.
So first and goal, clock running. Williams got to the goal line but did not get in. Tick tock.
Yes. You're already in a position where you're going to have to do an onside kick because you're still going to be down 2 scores with a touchdown here. So this clock is just burning and burning.
Williams stretches and it's a touchdown. Looked like he was going to be stopped again, but that extra effort and the reach got him a score. And it looks like he's on top of an opposing player, so he's not down.
Well, we saw his counterpart Fitzgerald have to stretch the ball out of the end zone, instead of into the end zone earlier in the game to avoid a safety.
Graves for the point after. 9 plays, 66 yards for the score.
And now you're thinking what onside kick you want to execute. You usually have about 4 or 5 different versions of how you attempt an onside kick. I mean, you kick
and
it.
You almost have to do it, don't you, Ed?
You have to.
You've only got 2 timeouts left and you're down 2 scores.
Yeah, you have to.
So you're between a rock and a hard place.
A rock and Leonard Fournette.
Yes. He's the hard place. 23-13, 4:10 left. Mississippi State staying alive, hanging on by its fingertips. Back to the archives and watch the games from last week and you find out what teams you're having. A wonderful little tool there. And it's still loose. Mississippi State has it on the onside kick.
Terrifically executed. Ball got really high. You want it's got to go bounce, bounce, and then go straight up in the air. And that was a terrific kick.
Des Harris, the backup middle linebacker who has played so well in the second half, ends up with the football.
Watch the ball right here. Look at how much height, and the LSU can't even. The ball was first touched by the kicking team. Justin Johnson first had a play on it. It was tipped there right before he got it. And then you mentioned Des Harris in the second half he's had. He was the guy who forced a fumble against Leonard Fournette, the first of 2.
Now let's see who comes out at quarterback for the Bulldogs.
Surprised it's Damian Williams. Really surprised by this.
Williams started the opener, had 2 straight 3-and-outs, then came in and passed on the season 20 out of 28, 71%. Williams cranks this one to Ross inside the 10. Clock will stop temporarily while they move the chains.
Now you're down 10. You're down 10, so now a field goal does come into play here. You've got to think about time. You've got a lot of time with 3:57 and 2 timeouts, but don't waste a bunch of time, and try not to waste those timeouts, because 3 matters now. It didn't matter earlier, but it matters now.
You could even afford not to try another onside kick if you score, because you have those 2 timeouts left. But just snapping the ball is taking an eternity. Williams on a run and a flat to Ross. Touchdown. Holy cow.
And I go back to that drive that started on the 1 from LSU. I was shocked at how many times they called just straight pass plays for Etling. I think there was 3 or 4 incompletes in that drive that saved at least 2 to 3 minutes of clock time. And that clock time right now for LSU, that was the precious commodity that they gave back to Mississippi State. And all of a sudden, Mississippi State has a shot. Not shocking, this game the last 2 years has come down to the end. However, it feels like LSU may have given Mississippi State the open door.
How about this? Well, if you ran out to the 7-Eleven to get some supplies and we're gone 5 minutes, guess what?
Well, Mississippi State has had a little bit going on offense in the second half they didn't have in the first half. They needed an onside kick. They got it. The first time Damian Williams hits Fred Ross, who does a wonderful job coming back to the ball, and then the senior from Tyler, Texas, gets it done. He gets both offensive calls. He makes a great play on the first ball, and then a great play to stretch for the pylon and a touchdown. And all of a sudden, a game that looked like it may for all the world be a runaway for LSU, we have ourselves a ball game.
2 touchdowns in 40 seconds, so a 17-point lead is evaporated. It's down to 3, and Damian Williams comes off the bench, 5 out of 6, 94 yards in 2 drives.
Yep. Well, I guess I was wrong. They should have made a change at quarterback. Great play by Ross. Now, because you mentioned, Mike, because of the 2 timeouts and 3:30 on the clock, there's no reason to do another onside kick here. I think you kick this one deep and hope you can get a defensive stop.
Although LSU's got 10 guys up. They're protecting against it. I don't think they particularly care about the return. Geis. Tough return for him because there's nobody back to block for him.
Now here's where the clock becomes so important. Mississippi State with 2 timeouts. They should be able, if they get 3 and out, they should have minute and a half left on the clock. It all depends if LSU does pick up a first down, when and how. But this is, if you are going to call a pass play, I think you have to have Etling on the edge. You have to get him in a boot where he can run it, and if it's not completely open, he's got to be able to get down and let this clock run. You do not want incomplete passes here to help out the Mississippi State, who already has 2 timeouts.
Last 4 drives have produced virtually nothing. There's Fournette, 26 carries, 142 yards.
No.
Fumbled the ball twice, though. You wouldn't want to bet that Fournette will get this a couple of times.
Well, look at the energy.
On the line, Leo Lewis gets him for a gain of about a yard.
You're so tempted. If you are Mississippi State, you don't want to use a timeout here. You only have 2, so you'd never take one after first down. You want to wait till after second or maybe even third down. You'd wait to use one of these timeouts, because if they pick up the first down again, you'd want to have another one after that second. So you may not even use one after second if you're Mississippi State.
I would. You can save an awful lot of time. You got to throw in somewhere. They've loaded the box. End around. And that blows up in their face. Chark didn't have a chance. They faked it to Fournette, but there were so many guys already at the line of scrimmage.
And now Mississippi State gets that timeout.
I just don't think you can afford to let 35 seconds run off the clock.
Well, the only problem is, though, if they now pick up the first down, you've left that one behind.
You're dead anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, we have a chance. Chris Cotter. Chris? All right, thank you, Chris. Now, this is an interesting thing here, Ed. If LSU chooses to throw the ball and it's incomplete, you've allowed Mississippi State to save that one timeout. If they run it, they're going to use it, I would think. But they've got a shot at this.
Yeah.
Unbelievably.
And you go back to LSU's offensive series where they got the ball on the 1 yard line. It was a little head scratching how much they were throwing the ball. And that's really the difference here. That 40, probably minute and a half that they could have eaten off the clock had they run the ball instead of thrown it. They had 3 or 4 incompletions on that drive, and now a game that really felt like it was out of hand. It's gotten exciting all of a sudden.
And maybe half this crowd is already gone. They're in their cars. They're in the parking lot.
More than half.
Listening to it on the radio saying, what happened? Incomplete.
Boy, oh boy.
Stops the clock with 2:26 left. They'll have to punt. Mississippi State will have a lot of time and 1 timeout left. This is amazing.
Unbelievable. Last year, 2015, Mississippi State was down 21-6 in the fourth quarter. And look at that react on the sidelines. This is, if they get this win, this will be mind-bending. LSU looked like 30 points better through about 2.5 quarters
Certainly
of this
did.
game, but they just kept messing around. And Nick Fitzgerald got pulled out for Damian Williams. And let's see what Williams has.
Roden with an unbelievable punt. Ross back to get it. And wrapped up inside the 25. A 59-yard clutch kick. And the loss of a yard. Jamal Adams back to make the tackle, his second important special team play of the game.
So now for Mississippi State with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. And there was a missed extra point, which now, it was blocked, but now that's why it only takes a field goal for the tie. And then on 4th down, a reversal. At first they said he fumbled with enough yardage for the first down. The replay review, they said it was indisputable video evidence he didn't. I'm not sure I saw that, but that's how we got here.
And the people left in the stands are making as much noise as they possibly can. Holloway.
Got to be careful here. You're going to start eating a whole lot of clock. Watch how long it's going to take to get everybody. I mean, they're pretty quick, but I would be careful with those types of runs. A field goal ties it, obviously, so you don't have to use as much clock, but you'd obviously want a shot at a touchdown before that.
Williams throws incomplete, almost intercepted. Jackson had a shot at the pick. It was wide of Donald Gray. That stops the clock.
Well, of course, you're going to be going for it in 4 downs, but anything short of the first down, the clock will continue to run for Mississippi State. So even if they go for it on 4th down, if they don't pick up the first here, you could start hurting the clocks. There's a look at Graves. His outside range, they need to get to about the 30-yard line before they'll be comfortable with a kick.
LSU's defense trying to hold. Williams way over the head of Gray. It will be 4th down, and guess who caught it?
Nick Fitzgerald. And Williams gets leveled as he throws this ball.
Oh,
a terrific clean hit. He did a wonderful job of keeping his head out of the hit, though. That's good to see a guy go in and just use the body for the hard hit. And unbelievably, we come down to a 4th down.
This is it for the Bulldogs. They need 8 to keep the drive alive.
And here is Fred Ross. That's the guy they've been targeting whenever they've needed a big play.
And Williams sacked and lost the ball. Arden Key came around the corner flying for the quarterback and got there. Two big plays in a row to seal it.
And guess who was open just beyond the sticks? Fred Ross. Coaches say you get pressure, it changes a lot of things in your secondary. But they were rolling Williams right over to the side. And there was a defensive line stunt, and Arden Key has incredible closing speed, jars the ball loose, and Williams was, I mean, milliseconds from releasing this throw to Ross before a game-sealing sack by Key.
LSU will put this in the "we just escaped" column.
And this is one, if you're the coaching staff, you know, there's self-scouting where you look at what you did. LSU should look at that sequence of plays when they had the game in hand and decided to not get away from who they are, because Etling does make them a much better passing team, but it feels like they got away from the identity of let's burn a little clock, let's get Fournette, let's get Geis going, and that drive, that was a key drive when there was enough momentum for Mississippi State to come back. But I think hang that one on the coaches a little bit, look at what you're calling and say, hey, could we have managed the game better? And the answer is I think they could have.
Well, you're right. They got away from it at a time that was least advantageous for them to get away from.
Yeah. And then, of course, turnovers. You had the fumble lost, recovered by Mississippi State from Fournette, and then the fumble that wasn't, apparently wasn't beyond the yardage to gain for first down.
Fournette, both hands around that ball. Mississippi State burns its final timeout with 42 seconds to go. There's a man right there.
Yeah.
UCLA BYU when we're done.
Well, and if the play takes more than 2 seconds, this ball game is over, because you'll get a 40-second play clock, and you won't have to run any more plays.
29 for 147 for Leonard Fournette on an ankle that was questionable right up to game time whether he was good to go or not. 4 catches for another 27 yards, so 174 yards in total offense.
I was just glad in my first time seeing Fournette in person, I got to see the shock when someone tries to tackle him high and he literally throws them off of him. Of course, the recipient of that tonight was Brandon Bryant, but those are starting to become regular. You go in high to tackle this guy.
That will be etched in his mind forever.
Yeah. Just take more than 2 seconds on this play. Good job.
There it is.
Yeah, that's the slow kneel.
So Mississippi State can go back to Starkville and look at this and say we never quit. We fought until the bitter end. We got within 3 at LSU.
You know, this is the second week in a row we've seen Mississippi State. This is a pretty good team Dan Mullen has. For them to hang in here and make this a ball game, I think they got some help. This is a pretty good team Dan Mullen's got. I think they're going to improve, and I think they're going to end up with quite a few victories before the season's over.
Thank you, Ed, for Ed Cunningham and Dr. Jerry Punch. This is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching, and so long from Baton Rouge. Now we send you to Provo,